Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is May the 31st, Friday. I need to pop off the screen for a minute. Something isn't plugged in correctly. Just a minute. I'm still here. Something just got pulled out, like the power, which we kind of need power. Just a minute. There we go. Coming back in screen. There we go. All right. And then that one wonky wonk. All right. How you guys doing? Mary says, good morning, and everyone. Happy Friday. TGIF. Indeed. Oh, very happy for it. For short weeks, they are long. Quick announcements. We don't have sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday night. I spend time with Steve for that evening for a little bit. But we do have sprints tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. And those go for 5 hours. Hopefully your receptionist is well today, so you can just do my thing and not hers as well. Indeed. Indeed. I haven't gotten any text yet. When she calls in, she texts me. But yesterday was at 7:30, so yeah. Hoping so. Anything else going on announcements? I don't think so. Today we're going to be looking, it's Freeform Friday, so we're going to be looking at historical mysteries. We've looked at most of these before because we did a historical mystery readathon in January. That was the Midwinter HistMyst. It was our first one. It's the inaugural one. But we're going to do another historical mystery readathon for June. And that is the Midsummer HistMyst. Sort of like the Midsummer's Night's Dream kind of thing, except we're doing historical mysteries. All right. So, what I thought I would do is go through some historical mysteries that I really love. There are we'll start with the ones that are more recent to me that I love, and then we'll do some what I'm going to call classic that I love. If you want to get started, some of them are complete, some are in the middle of their series. So just going to jump in. Good morning, Kim. How you doing? I know. June 1st. Amazing. Let me grab some coffee. You guys have any plans for the weekend? Any shows? Etc. etc. I'm trying a new coffee. Coffee is flavored Irish cream, and I'm not really tasting it. All right. So, an author I found at the beginning of the year that I'm really enjoying is the Sparks and Bainbridge Mysteries by Alison Montclair. This is set in the just after the war, so late 1940s. Alison Montclair is a pseudonym for one of my very favorite historical mystery authors, Alan Gordon, and we'll go into his in a little bit. But this is a new series about two women in London right after the war from different backgrounds, and the writing is very 1930s movies witty banter, just sharp. It's just fun reading for me, which to me, the word isn't I'm looking for is fluffy. There's a word that it's not written. What word do I want to say? The writing level is more lower grade, shall we say, as opposed to higher grades, college, and I'm only using that as a metaphor scale. There's some writing that is just easier. I'm not going to say simple. There's just not a good word, but there's other writing. You what's behind it is an intelligence, a sharpness, a wittiness, and this hits on all that cogs. Maybe you guys can help me out. Since words are escaping me today. Mary says, no shows, but my big news, a local merchant wants to carry my jewelry in their store. Oh, that's awesome. Going today to get things ready for the pieces I put in. Oh, is it like a consignment kind of thing? That's fantastic. Indeed. Hoping to sleep after the last 2 nights. These doggies. Oh, a mixed blessing. Yes, they are. There you go. And a writing, not necessarily words too, but yes, words and putting it together smartly. But absolutely, you are right. Thank you. And this is more in the $5 range. So anyway, in a London slowly recovering from World War II, two very different women join forces to launch a business venture in the heart of Mayfair, the Right Sort Marriage Bureau. Miss Iris Sparks, quick-witted and impulsive, and Mrs. Gwendolyn Bainbridge, practical and widowed with a young son, are determined to achieve some independence and do some good in a rapidly changing world. But their promising start is threatened when their newest client is found murdered, and the man arrested for the crime is the prospective husband they matched her with. And it's a well-done series. There are 6 books in that series currently. Another one I discovered at the beginning of the year that I'm really enjoying is by Grace Burrows. This is the Lord Julian Mysteries, and this is set in Regency time period, just after the war, Napoleonic War. And the first book is called A Gentleman Fallen on Hard Times. Lord Julian was a prisoner of war during the Napoleonic Wars and has suffered physical and mental damage. And this is him trying to get back to the real world, to the world after war. A man dwelling in darkness, Lord Julian Caldecott has come home from the war in ragged health and with a reputation in tatters. All he wants is to recuperate in private without bringing any further scandal on the family's good name. His godmother inveigles him into serving her as escort to a rural house party, whereupon circumstances conspire to prevent Julian from resuming his reclusive existence. Julian becomes the subject of rumors, lies, and whispers, and soon he's faced with a choice: wage one more battle for honor's sake, or be branded a traitor to all that he holds dear. He will enlist unlikely allies, face old demons, and vex every other guest on the premises, but he will not stop until he's brought a criminal to justice or died trying. That one surprised me. I can't remember how I stumbled upon it, but I was like, wow, where has this been all my life? A lot of people's entry into historical mystery is through Deanna Rayburn, which fabulous, and we'll get to it. But if you were looking for that type of character and dynamic, but you've read all of Deanna Rayburn's books, the Veronica Speedwell series, try this. These are actually and on Kindle Unlimited. This is the Angus Brodie and Michaela Forsyth murder mystery series set in the 1880s, late Victorian. These are by Carla Simpson, and there's 9 books in this series. I've really been enjoying them. First book is A Deadly Affair. London, 1889. Murder mystery and 2 people in a most unlikely partnership. She's an unconventional lady who has traveled the world, practices the art of self-defense most excellently, and has an interesting tattoo in a very unusual place. He's a former member of the Metropolitan Police, now a private investigator who grew up on the poverty-ridden streets of Edinburgh and has worked the dangerous back alleys of London's notorious East End. A vicious murder brings them together in a race against time that takes them from the sordid back streets of London into the elite private clubs of the powerful and rich to find the killer before he strikes again and prevent a deadly scheme. And also has that slow burn romance if you like that. Kim, I'll be back next Saturday for a week. Oh, wow. Oof. I think you're finding a second career here. I'm going to finish Pride and Premeditation and the Mysterious Fair at Styles today. Ah! Like the cover on a Deadly Fair. Yes, all those covers. We'll go back there for a second. Let me got to a stopping point, hopping over to say congrats to Mary, and that's fantastic. Indeed. Hello, Pigeon. Kim, I enjoyed the Templar Knight series. Yes, binge in this winter. Michael Jacks. Let's go back to here. Let's go back to here. I'm just going to do a scroll down here, Mary, to you see that all the covers are very, very cool. They alternate between two main characters. I do recommend them. All right. And Sherry Thomas has a new one out in June. I'm so excited. I love and adore this series. This is the Lady Sherlock series by Sherry Thomas. First book is A Study in Scarlet Women. There are 8 books in this series. And the newest one is coming out, like I say, in June. And it is absolutely on my TBR for this month. With her, this is a smart series. This is a smart series. The character, of course, has to be smart because she is very similar to Sherlock Holmes, but the solving of the crime isn't the simple route. There are layers. There's an onion in as the reveal happens, which I appreciate. With her inquisitive mind, Charlotte Holmes has never felt comfortable with the demureness expected of the fairer sex in upper-class society, but even she never thought that she would become a social pariah, an outcast fending for herself on the mean streets of London. When the city is struck by a trio of unexpected deaths and suspicion falls on her sister and her father, Charlotte is desperate to find the true culprits and clear the family name. She'll have help from friends new and old, a kind-hearted widow, a police inspector, and a man who has long loved her. But in the end, it will be up to Charlotte, under the assumed name Sherlock Holmes, to challenge society's expectations and match wits against an unseen mastermind. Highly recommend this series. I recommend all of them. Read all the books. Andrea Penrose writes historical mysteries. This is her Rexford and Sloane mysteries series. Again, if you like that dynamic in the Veronica Speedwell, if that was your entry, this is another option. It's nice to see you here. Yes. Gracious Kaden. So this is the first book is Murder on Black Swan Lane. There are 8 books in this series. And this is set in Regency. And in the Regency era, rather than the Bridgerton, Jane Austen side of Regency England, this is more the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, scientific discovery side, which she touches on, which what I like about historical mysteries is that you learn things. And because this is not an area that is covered a whole lot. She's introducing ideas that were actually happening at that time, um, scientific discoveries and engineering and stuff that were actually going on at that time, and then spinning a mystery story from there. It's very cool. The Earl of Rexford possesses a brilliant scientific mind, but boredom and pride lead him to reckless behavior. So when pompous, pious Reverend Josiah Holworthy publicly condemns him for debauchery, Rexford unsheathes his rapier-sharp wit and strikes back. As the war of words escalates, London's most popular satirical cartoonist, A.J. Quill, skewers them both. But then the clergyman is found slain in a church, his face burned by chemicals, his throat slashed ear to ear, and Rexford finds himself the chief suspect. An artist in her own right, Charlotte Sloane has secretly slipped into the persona of her late husband, using his nom de plume, A.J. Quill. When Rexford discovers her true identity, she fears it will be her undoing. But he has a proposal. Use her sources to unveil the clergyman's clandestine involvement in questionable scientific practices and unmask the real murderer. Soon Lord Rexford and the mysterious Mrs. Sloane plunge into a dangerous shadow world hidden among London's intellectual enclaves to trap a cunning adversary before they fall victim to the next experiment in villainy. Dot, 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 dot. Very well done. Bones. Hang on. Talking so much. I need some coffee. This one is a shorter, but she is still in the middle of it. So there is hope for more. This is by Emma Jameson. She does write other series. I know of one contemporary one, but this one is her historical mysteries. It is set at the beginning of World War II. The main character is a doctor, Dr. Benjamin Bones. The first couple have alternate titles, but it has found a new life, and she just released a new one this month. So this first one, Bones in the Blackout, is one of the two titles. Air raid sirens howling, blood on the headlights. Can one widower solve a murderous puzzle before he becomes roadkill? Cornwall, Great Britain, 1939. Dr. Benjamin Bones can mend everything but his broken heart. As Nazi bombers raid his homeland, the emotionally bruised physician has become numbed by his wife's infidelity and the war-induced loss of his London practice. But his last-ditch attempt to save their marriage turns to horror when he witnesses a roadside collision that claims the life of his spouse and that he believes is murder. Refusing to let his new cane slow him down, the crash survivor teams up with a prickly divorcee to sniff out the killer from a long line of his former loved one's enemies. But the case threatens to nosedive after the duo encounter ghostly warnings, a power-hungry air warden, and the whispers of a second casualty. Can Benjamin find closure and justice before the deadly driver strikes again? This one has maybe a sidekick, maybe, the secondary main character in Gwendolyn. She is described as 6 feet tall, blonde, etc., etc. And I picture her as that actress that was in Game of Thrones. Great in your face, tough on the outside, kind of marshmallowy on the inside. This is a great, great series. And I'm glad I found it. And I'm glad she's still writing it. Next up, of course, we have a very great entry point for historical mystery lovers, the Veronica Speedwell series set in Victorian times by Deanna Rayburn. There are 9 books in this series. She is still writing it. Thank goodness. Very strong female characters you will see in all these books that I'm telling you about. London, 1887. After burying her spinster aunt, orphaned Veronica Speedwell is free to resume her world travels in pursuit of scientific inquiry. and the occasional romantic dalliance. As familiar with hunting butterflies as with fending off admirers, Veronica intends to embark upon the journey of a lifetime. But fate has other plans when Veronica thwarts her own attempted abduction with the help on, on an enigmatic drinking game German baron who offers her sanctuary in the care of his friend Stoker, a reclusive and bad-tempered natural historian. But before the baron can reveal what he knows of the plot against her, he is found murdered, leaving Veronica and Stoker on the run from an elusive assailant as wary partners in search of the villainous truth. Fabulous, fabulous series. Another one I just discovered in the last month or so, also by Grace Burrows. She is the author of that A Gentleman Fallen On series, the Lord Julian series. But before that, she was writing the Lady Violet series. And I had kind of had this one on my radar, but I didn't now that I started reading the Lord Julian, and I like that writing, so well, let's give this one a try. And I like it a lot. There's 8 in this series. The first one is Lady Violet Investigates. It has kind of the same, not necessarily themes, but there's flavors of the Lord Julian in this first series, but it's from the female point of view. Lady Violet Belmain emerges from 2 years of mourning less than enthusiastic about resuming her place in polite society. She's talked into attending a country house party by her French physician friend Hugh Saint Sevier, only to find that the house party guests are preyed upon by a mysterious thief. Among the guests is Sebastian Macheath, Marquess of Dunkeld. Violet once considered Sebastian her closest confidant, but war and the passing years have changed him. Nonetheless, when Sebastian's valet, another veteran, comes under suspicion, Violet, Saint Sevier, and Sebastian must work together to discover the true culprit, lest an innocent man be sent to the gallows for crimes he did not commit. And we'll pause there. We'll look at more of them next Friday as well. But if you do want to participate in Midsummer HistMyst starting tomorrow, at least there's some places you can check out or go in your own area. Now these are very Regency and Victorian centric. There's the great thing about historical mysteries is it covers from beginning of time until, I guess they're considering 80s historical, but I don't. You could stretch it to say maybe the 60s would be historical, and we just won't talk about the 70s, but I'm so impressed that you can remember all these characters and stories. I can't remember what I read yesterday, much less recent months or years ago. Well, it's books, and these are more recent-ish for me. You know, the fun thing is I started reading these a couple decades ago, and now I can look at those books and maybe reread them and have them be new again, if that makes sense. And I'm kind of looking at doing that with some of them. Maybe I'll do that this month as well. Everyone have a great weekend. Eat something good, laugh a lot, and enjoy yourselves. Absolutely. That is a great life philosophy. Wrong one. There we go. Alrighty. Again, no sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday nights. We will have them tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. They'll go for 5 hours. We'll be back again on Monday morning to look at the new releases next week, starting with the Cozy Mysteries. There's always a lot of those. Hope you have a good weekend. Have a great day. Have a good Friday. And as Mary said, eat something good, laugh a lot, enjoy yourselves. I would add, read good books. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.